In Section 4, we will cover everything that has to do with mass enrollment. It's basically the process of associating registered households with projects or activities which they'll receive in kind distributions or cash, or in other instances, health, training, or other services. Mass enrollment is a three-step process that enrolls households en masse. In this particular video, we will have a look at how we enroll beneficiaries into Aid for Work and General Distribution projects. In both Aid for Work and General Distribution projects, households are directly linked to the project through the enrollment process. A household can also be enrolled to multiple projects at the same time, if such projects exist, where households are receiving varying benefits from, for example, Cash for Work projects that are focused on livelihoods, and separate health and nutrition projects that are focused on needs. So the first thing we'll need to do is to actually log in using our username and our password to get into the system. Once you are logged into the system, we go to the projects, and from projects, we will have to choose the mass enrollment. The first step of the three-wizard process starts with selecting the Aid for Work or General Distribution project, in which you would want to mass enroll the households to be selected in the subsequent steps. Click on this drop-down menu on your right, and once you are here, then select the target households for this particular mass enrollment operation. You do this by specifying the selection criteria in one or more of the categories listed. Also note that the options from different tabs of the selection criteria can be combined. Households that match all of the given criteria will be selected. However, those households who have already been enrolled in a target project will actually be excluded. For the purpose of this video, we're going to continue with the Philippines and the Bantayan projects. So we go to Philippines, the General Distribution Bantayan Vulnerable Feeding Group. Once you've chosen your project, click on Next. This step of the enrollment criteria uses a tabbed interface. This includes the enrollment-related criteria, the household level criteria, member level criteria, and member IDs. When you click on the Ignore Enrollment History, this will select all the households in the system regardless of their enrollments, but are however not enrolled in the target project. By clicking on Selecting Households Not Enrolled in Any Project, it will select all the registered households in the system that are not enrolled in any project. And when you click on Select Households from this project, it will select all the households enrolled in the project the user selected from the current project list. All General Distribution and Aid for Work projects will be listed here regardless of whether or not they're active. For this particular video, I'm going to choose Ignore Enrollment History option, because all of the households that I'm trying to enroll right now have actually never been enrolled in a project before. If this first tab, the enrollment-related criteria, options are not optimal or applicable for your enrollment scenario, you can go to the Household Level Criteria tab and provide another selection. The decision criteria here is based on the household level information. So let's now move on to the household level criteria. For the purposes of this video, I will not populate all of the fields, seeing that if I do so, the system will only look for those specified people in the field. Rather, we will go over the information that is actually needed for each one of these boxes. Also, if at any point you would actually like to go back in the system, can I please remind you to go click on the back button instead of actually clicking on the browser button, seeing that this can create issues and you could actually lose some information. By family name, it means that all the households that have a family name starting with the text you type in the family name box will be selected for this enrollment. By community, it means that all the households in a community that have been entered by the user will be selected for the enrollment. This field will only accept names of communities that already exist in the system. Here, where it says address, all households whose address contain what the user has typed will be selected in the next step. For the household size, you will need to enter the minimum and maximum household size that is required for enrollments. This will select households within the lower and upper values selected. For originating address, we mean households that have addresses that contain the text entered in the address box, which will also be selected. In the notes section, you can enter any special notes that were captured during the registration process and may help to identify the target household population even better. Now, for the originating country, as you can see here, it is the household origin if you're dealing with migrant populations. Households with originating addresses contain text you entered in the originating address box will be selected in the next step. You can also type the originating country's full name or 2 letters that constitute the ISO Alpha 2 code for that particular country. If you are not sure what that code is, you can go to this website, www.nationsonline.org, and you can see here that there's an entire list of the ISO Alpha code for all the countries worldwide. For household conditions, you can select any additional household level conditions if there's specific vulnerability or conditions that are desired for the subject enrollment population in order to filter the list even further. When you hover your cursor over the question mark, you can see more details regarding listed conditions for this icon. Right, let's now move on to the member level criteria option. Here again, you will be prompted to enter a set of data like we just did. In the age box, you will need to enter the minimum and maximum age and select either by the years or months from the drop-down menu. For gender, you will need to enter either male or female. In the notes section, like before, you can enter any special points that were captured for the household members during the registration process. For the registration date, you will need to enter a date range for when the registration was carried out for the target enrollment population. This selection option will only work if the registration devices were set with the correct date. So for the purposes of this video, we will use June 29th as the registration date, seeing that this is when we actually had registered these particular beneficiaries that we're going to use for this video. In the box Payment Account With, you will need to select the payment account from the drop-down list. For example, that which the target enrollment population holds their account with. As a few examples, this can be Safaricom, Airtel, etc. For the payment account type, you will need to select the type of payment account type that the target household's members have. This is mostly important for projects that use e-payment credits such as cash voucher delivery mechanisms. Where you see the member vulnerabilities, here you can select additional member level vulnerabilities if there are specific vulnerabilities that are desired for the subject enrollment population to filter the list even further. Again, when you hover with your mouse over the question mark, you will be able to see more details. It's very important to note that households that match all the user selected criteria will be selected for the next step, which I am about to show you. Member level criteria only applies to individual members as long as one active member of the household meets all the specific criteria. Then the household will be selected provided it meets all household level criteria as well. Households that are already enrolled in the target project will be excluded. So let's now move on to member IDs. You will need to use this option if you'd like to carry out enrollment based on the IDs that are stored in a plain text file. When you click on Browse, you will have to look at the location on your computer where you actually have the text file with the member import numbers and click Open. Note that bad IDs will be flagged and an invalid ID error file will be available for download under the exact same tab. Once you have done this, you can click on Next, and this will take you to number 3 of the step of the mass enrollment process. Here, you will need to review the target household selected by the criteria defined in the previous step in order to confirm their eligibility. The list is sorted first by community, then by size, then by family name, and then in descending order, the name of the household. If you do not want to include a household from the mass enrollment, then simply uncheck the check right next in the selection box in the first column. You can use the master checkbox in the header to select or unselect all. You will need to pay special attention to the bottom part of the footer section, which is currently showing 18 selected, 0 excluded. When you are ready to complete the mass enrollment operation, then click the Finish button. When you finish on the Finish button, this will take you to an action and actually show you that your households have been actually enrolled into the project. And once you have done this, you are finished. We hope that now that you have seen this video, you will be able to enroll the beneficiaries into the Aid for Work and General Distribution projects. Remember that you can always check out the section below for a step-by-step process with screenshots, or you can always email us for any questions at lmms@helpdesk.org. Thank you.